Bonjour. We are going to be learning today about subject pronouns in French. If you don't know what those are, I'm about to explain. This is one of the most important things to learn when it comes to making sentences in French because subject pronouns are how you're going to start your sentences. The subject of a sentence is the person or the thing that performs the action. So whoever does the main verb of the sentence, that is the subject. The verb is the action expressed. So le professeur parle anglais, the teacher speaks English. Teacher or professeur, that's the subject. The word pronoun, pronouns are what replace a noun in a sentence. So like instead of saying the teacher speaks English, you would say she speaks English. Instead of saying the dog is brown, you would say it is brown. So the word she, the word it, here are a bunch of different pronouns in English. There are different categories. We are going to look at subject pronouns. Now, why do we use pronouns? They keep you from being repetitive. Instead of saying the teacher, the teacher, the teacher, or instead of saying somebody's name over and over again, you use words like she, it, they to sound more natural and normal. These are words that we use easily. Same thing in French, they use subject pronouns all the time. So a subject pronoun, let's put those together, is the word that replaces the noun that is the subject of the sentence. So le professeur parle anglais, the teacher speaks English. Elle parle anglais, she speaks English. She is my subject pronoun. Here they are again. Subject pronouns are what we're going to focus on. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. Let's look at these in pictures first. So who can I talk about in my sentences? Well, first of all, I talk about myself all the time. So I'm going to talk about I. I'm not going to say me because me is not the subject. I'm not going to say me like. I say I like. So I is the first one. I could talk about myself with my brother and sister, and then it becomes we. We like to play video games is another subject I could use. I could talk to somebody. I could say you out there. You is a subject I could use. Or I could say you all, you plural, or if you live in the South, y'all works as well. I can talk also about other people who aren't even here. So I could talk about him over there. I could talk about he is the subject. I could talk about she likes to do this, he likes to do that. And I can also talk about groups and say they like to do something. So let's look at those in grammar terms, in English and in French. In grammar terms, on the left side here, this chart is in this order for a reason. On the left side are singular subject pronouns. Notice there's only one person each time. I, you, he, she. That's one person. Please ignore the thing at the bottom. We'll come back to it. Over here are plural subjects because there's more than one person. We, you all, y'all, they. That's plural. The other grammar terms we're going to use are first person, second person, third person. First person means I'm talking about myself. If you ever read a book in first person, you are the main character. You're the one going on an adventure. If you ever read a book in third person, like Harry Potter, it's all about Harry. It's about him. He goes down the stairs. He sees Hagrid. So it's third person if it's about he or she. If you've ever read a choose your own adventure book, that's written in second person. They're not as popular now, but I loved them as a kid. It was a scenario, and you would read the scenario on the first page, and then it would say, if you want to do this, turn to page 2. If you want to do this, turn to page 3. And it would lead you on this little adventure. Most of the time, you'd die. But if you chose the right choices throughout the book, you could make it to the end. I loved those books, but it was all you. It was talking to you. So we have first person singular, first person plural, second person singular, etc. First person singular is I do this, and the subject in French is je. Je. Je means I. Now in English, the letter I always has to be capitalized. In French, you only capitalize the J if it's the first letter of the sentence. If it's in the middle of the sentence, you don't need a capital J. Second person singular is you out there, you, one person, and that word is tu. We've seen these words in like je m'appelle, Comment t'appelles-tu? We've seen these little words in stock phrases for French so far. Talking about third person singular, I'm talking about somebody. He is il. Talking about she, elle. Here they are again. These are our first person, second person, third person singular pronouns, subject pronouns. Je, tu, il, elle. Looking at plural, that's always the left side over here, singular, plus more. So I have I plus more, that's we. Oh, I got to move my picture. I'll put it over there. So we in French is nous. Nous. We do something. Nous. This is if I'm talking to a group, y'all. It can also be formal. So we'll come back to this idea of formality soon. You, plural, or you, formal. Y'all is vous. And then if I'm talking about a group of males, they, those guys over there, ils. If I'm talking about a group of girls, those girls over there are elles. I don't hear final S's in French. You don't hear any S's on this side. Nous, vous, il, elle. Now I left this one out on purpose. Let's look at it. This one is called on. On, I'll explain more later. It means one is kind of the idea. On. And we'll come back to that one. It's slightly different from English. So ignoring on, let's not look at it. Here are our subject pronouns. Je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle. Here's a few extra things we need to know. Where's it? There was no it on that poster. In English, you use it all the time to replace stuff. The test is difficult. It is difficult. The school is big. It is big. Well, there is no it. There's no neutral kind of it pronoun in French, but that's okay because there are no neutral nouns in French. Everything's masculine or feminine. So the word pen is masculine. It is il for the pen because we already know that pens are masculine. I'll say il. Whereas, please ignore the mess, cups, une tasse is feminine, so I'm going to call it elle. It works like she, but it's elle, meaning it, the feminine thing. So in French, there's no equivalent. You just use il if it's masculine. You use elle if it's feminine. That's kind of simple. L'examen est difficile. Il est difficile. It is hard. It being that masculine thing I mentioned. L'école est grande. Elle est grande. Elle meaning it, referring to that thing I just mentioned. A few other things to talk about real fast. In English, everyone is you. I call my dog you. I call my boss you. And I don't pay attention to formality. In French, I do. Every you has a register, has a level, basically. I'm going to use tu if I'm talking to one person. I'm going to use vous if I'm talking to two or more people. Unless I want to talk to one person who is formal, that's vous. So what I'm saying is, I use tu talking to one person who is what I would consider on my level or lower. Who is on my level or lower? Pets. I talk to animals and I just say like, hey, do you want a treat? You is lower than me. It's just a pet. No offense, they're great. I love my pets, but they're not that important in the world of formality. Kids, little kids, also love them. But if I'm talking to my daughter, I'm not going to be formal with her. She's my kid. Any little kid, you use tu when you talk to one of them at a time. Your friends are on your level. Use tu with them. Even if you're older, I would talk to my friends using tu if we spoke French to each other. Your classmates, even if you don't know them super well, you're all stuck in class together, use tu with your peers, people your age, and family and people you're close to. My mom and I are best friends. I would use tu with my mom if she spoke any French. Let's compare with vous. I'll use vous to talk to a whole group of people. And then I use vous to talk to anybody on a level that's higher than me. Who's higher than me? Elders, older people. I need to respect them in French. So if there's an elderly lady and I want to talk to her in French, I'd use vous. That also means your teachers. I know some people are like, you got to earn my respect. In France, Teachers are considered, I mean, they're older than you, and they're also in a profession that's higher than you as a student, and you show respect to them. You use vous with a stranger. If you've never met that person before, no matter who they are, use vous with them to show some formality. You're not going to go up to some stranger and go, hey, what's up? You don't know them. People in authority, the president, the governor, a police officer, a judge, somebody who could make influences on your life, be respectful to them. Your boss, so anybody in a higher position of power. People you want to be respectful to as well. Now, what if you don't know? You meet somebody, you're traveling in France for the first time. Do I use tu or vous? Which one do you think you should probably use to be nice? Use vous because you don't know. And they will always, I mean, the French just do this naturally. They'll know what to do. They'll respect that you're being formal. And the worst thing that could happen is they'll go, call me tu. And they'll be frank with you and say, nah, we're on that level. And they'll put you in the right spot. So if you're ever not sure, be more formal. Okay, almost done. The word on, that little nebulous idea I said we'd come back to, on can mean one. Kind of like the meme, like one does not simply. If I'm just speaking in general about a group, I'm going to say on. I'm going to say one. Instead of saying il, which is a specific group of people, or nous, which is specific, you can use on. Let's get rid of that meme. I'm distracted. You can use on to mean they. And I'm not being specific. I'm just saying this group that exists. In France, they speak French. Who's they? They speak French in France. So if I'm being that vague, I have the word on to do that in French. You also use it for you with like rules and guidelines. I'm not speaking to you specifically. I'm just saying, you know, you can't judge a book by its cover. And that kind of nebulous you is on in French. Last but not least, and this is something we'll practice with more, if I'm talking about me and my friends, I'll use the word on instead of nous. Nous feels very stuffy and formal, and on is casual. And you as a teenager, you'll be casual when you're talking about like what we do. We watch movies on the weekend. You'll probably use on to sound natural. Last but not least, this is the last part. This group of men over here is ils, right? It's a group of guys, masculine, ils. Over here we have a group of women, so they're elles. My question for you is, what do we do with this? What do we do when we have a group of guys and girls? The answer is ils. You make it masculine. But there's women there. Doesn't matter. French is traditionally a little bit sexist in the language. We'll see this as we go, that if you have to make a choice between masculine and feminine, masculine will get chosen. Because heaven forbid we offend any of the men by calling them elle in this group. We have to go with ils. Even if, look at this picture. Have y'all been watching The Bachelor? I have. It's a guilty pleasure. Even if there's just Matt James and a plethora of women, I forget how many they started with, 30? If Matt James walks in the room, ils, masculine. Even though there's all these beautiful women here, ils, masculine, because he's a very powerful man and he makes the group masculine no matter what. So if it's a mixed gender group, the rule is that you use ils. It's kind of dumb, but that's what we will go with. We'll say ils for a mixed gender group. So here they are one last time. Je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous is y'all, il plural, elle plural. I hope this makes sense. Please comment if you have any questions or message me. And if you want to know about like gender neutral pronouns, that's something that French is still kind of figuring out and working with. If you're curious about gender neutral pronouns, send me an email or a message. I'd love to talk to you more about those. Ciao.